Alrighty, so another night of CCL action is in the book, and another night where both MLS team that is involved in the CCL action able to move on into the quarterfinal. And while I was kind of expecting the Union to be able to win this second leg and pretty much move on to the quarterfinal against Saprissa, I did not expect Toronto to move on against Leon. And especially when you look at the lineup that this TFC team was putting against Leon, it was basically a TFC2 team. Like, I even was thinking about putting TFC2 versus Leon because of how the way that a lot of these players that was on this team was not starters whatsoever, and that they even said at one point that TFC was missing 10 starters in this game. And against a Leon side that not only was pretty much putting almost the same team, but even putting a stronger team in this game. And I just thought there was no way in the world TFC will have any shot to be able to hold on to this 1-1 aggregate score that they have and hold on this advantage of potentially going through the next leg on an away goal. Now, another thing that I also want to mention is that this game at the very last minute was actually changed to be played at Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex instead of Oscar Heritage Park. Apparently what they said was that the stadium that they were playing in had some issue with the retaining wall being too close to the touchline, and they were thinking about maybe shrinking the field to make it smaller, but then at the very last minute TFC basically decided that, you know what, let's just go back to where a lot of our team, or a lot of MLS team including ourselves, was in the MLS's back tournament, and they decided to move this to the Worlds of Sports Complex. And honestly, it looks so great to see a game, even though it wasn't an MLS game, but just an MLS team playing in that soccer complex again, because it really brings good memory of the MLS's back tournament that we had in last June. And I also hope that eventually in the future, maybe MLS might be thinking about having kind of like an MLS's back tournament, not in the middle of the season, but more like kind of like a preseason tournament. Now, in the first half, Lyon, they waste no time to dominate and look for an early goal in the first 10 minutes, and you kind of feel like maybe this was going to be the way how this game is going to play out, where Lyon was going to just putting waves after waves of pressure like they did in the first leg against Toronto, and that TFC was just going to sit back. But instead, they did not do that. And TFC, you know, to their credit, they were not only not sitting back, but they were being brave to press. And one of the things that I think coming into this game with Chris Armas, the question with him is that with his team being so depleted like that, will they even think about trying to press, and will they actually decide to be brave and press this Lyon side where, you know, if you don't do well in your press, you're going to expose a lot of space at the back for this Lyon attack to basically exploit. But instead, what we found out in this game was not only TFC and Chris Armas was brave to allow this team to press, but Lyon had no answer whatsoever. And it almost felt like Lyon was not expected, the fact that TFC was just going to press on them, because they had a lot of trouble every time when they tried to play out of this TFC press, and every time they just always lose the ball high up the pitch. Now in the 15th minute, Kodo was able to rob Akulo twice in the same attacking sequence. Then 13 minutes later, yeah, TFC got CONCACAF. Akulo basically they put this one into the back of it on a header, but it was disallowed because of offside. And when you look on the replay, it was pretty clear that he was not offside whatsoever. Like, you know, the ball, when it was coming in, it actually flicked off one of the Lyon defender, and when the ball is flicked off one of the Lyon defender and basically carry right into Okolo's path, that is not offside, even though he is in an offside position there. So there's no doubt that was wrongly disallowed, and I thought, is this going to be one of those games where MLS team is going to get screwed over because of a call that goes against them? Then Bono was able to deny Davila, and I thought that was really the best opportunity that Lyon had in this first half, because not only the fact that TFC defended splendidly, but Lyon looked really flat in this game on the attack, and it almost felt like they just ran out of idea how to actually break down this Toronto defense. Now, in the second half, Bono was able to deny Mena from a tight angle as Lyon looked to quickly quickly come out the second half and maybe carry some momentum to get that opening goal. But then 3 minutes later, Coda would deny Larea, and then just 5 minutes later, the unthinkable happened. TFC was able to get the opening goal. Well, I wouldn't say it was unthinkable, because up until that point, I thought TFC were actually the better team. But it's kind of unthinkable, the fact that I would think Patrick Mullins would actually end up on the score line in a CONCACAF Champions League game, especially in this game against Leon. Like, if there's any player I would think that would be the last player I would think to get on the scoreboard, it would be Patrick Mullins. But here he is on the score sheet, as he is assisted by Schaffelberg and Bradley. Then Coda would deny Lorea again, as TFC was actually pushing for that second goal, and it looked like they were trying to maybe get that second goal to really put this game out of reach. And they did get that second goal. It came in the 70th minute, and this was kind of a very strange play when Justin Morrow looked like he was going through on goal, and then he kind of, I don't know, maybe got clipped by one of the Leon defender, or he decided to maybe go down on the ground so he can maybe win his team a penalty. But when he decided to do that, he actually went down and kind of stumbled toward the ball and basically poked the ball into the back of the net and past the Leon goalkeeper. And obviously, I'm not sure that was what he planned to do when he's trying to take a shot to score the second goal for TFC. And also, when you look back on the replay of that, it looked like Morrow actually handballed that one and actually poked that one past Coda, the Leon goalkeeper, and that one probably shouldn't have counted. But then again, you look at what happened to TFC, how they also had a goal that was wrongly ruled offside. I guess this is pretty much just some justice that is being provided, where if there is one bad call that didn't go in their favor, then the balance is basically now another bad call that has happened, but this time it's going to be against Leon. So TFC were up 2-0 at that point, but then 10 minutes later, Leon would actually get one back, and it would be the Navarro that scores for Moreno. And all of a sudden, with this game being at 2-1, and keep in mind with the aggregate score being at 3-2, if Leon was going to get one more, they would actually move on to the next leg on away goal. So these last 10 minutes was definitely some tense moment for TFC. Bono was able to make a big save to deny Giugioliti in the 89th minute. Leon pressed for that crucial equalizer in stoppage time, but in the end, TFC is able to survive and move on into the quarterfinal of the CONCACAF Champions League. As the shots in this game, 17 shots compared to 10 that TFC had, but 8 shots on goal compared to 7 that Leon has in this game. TFC actually outshot Leon in this game, if you would have believed it. 5 shots off target compared to 1 that Toronto has. 5 shots out of block compared to 1 that Toronto has. And possession-wise, 66% possession. And actually, I got this one wrong. It's actually 66% possession compared to 34% possession that Toronto had in this game. And again, I mean, I did not expect that this was going to be the case, especially when I look at how weak this lineup was for TFC against a Leon side that was pretty much putting their strongest team. And this also is another match where I feel like TFC is starting to prove me wrong and also prove a lot of people wrong. That, a lot of people said that there was question about their depth and whether or not if some of these young guys can actually step in for a lot of those players that is currently injured and still do well. Well, after this game, the answer is definitely a resounding yes. And I will also say that, it's great that they, of course, had this historic win, but let's see if these young kids can continue to perform like that. Because if they can continue to perform like that, then I really need to rethink what I said back in my Eastern Conference prediction, where I did say that, I didn't think TFC was going to do well, because I don't think the depth of this team and a lot of these young kids is going to be able to make that same impact as what some of these star player and some of these main core player on this team would be for this Toronto side. But now moving on into the next match is the Union and Saprissa. And the Union, just like what the Timbers did yesterday, they pretty much put it up to 5th gear in the second half and pretty much blow Saprissa all the way back to Costa Rica. Now, an interesting thing I was looking at this game is that, after such a hot temper game that we had in the last match, you wonder whether or not if there is going to be some retaliation. And I think during the game they mentioned how Jim Curtin says that, as much as how bad that thing's gone in that first leg in Costa Rica, he actually told his players that do not retaliate. Do not actually get into Saprissa faces, because if you decided to do that, you're going to give them some energy and also potentially risk yourself of getting a send off. And in the end, I think that's a smart move for what Jim Curtin says to his guy, because when you're in a game like this hot temper, and especially you have a fringe 1-0 lead in the aggregate score, the last thing you want is to try to give the other team some more energy and potentially Saprissa maybe use that energy to get themselves a goal in this game and make this a very interesting one. Now, the other thing about Saprissa, so just like Alajuelense yesterday, Saprissa was also one of those teams that had a couple of players that are unable to make it to the U.S. because they were part of the Costa Rica national team that play in those international friendly in Europe, and since when those players were playing those international friendly in Europe, they have to self-quarantine themselves at least 15 days, and that a lot of those players weren't able to do so in time before this game actually kicked off. Although there were a couple of Saprissa players that was also tested positive for COVID-19. So yeah, it was unfortunate that Saprissa. I think in this game they said that they didn't really miss as much player as what Alajuelense has when they had in their game against Atlanta, but in a short-handed, they were still kind of short-handed, and you kind of realize that this is probably not going to end well for Saprissa. Now, in the first half, Glesnes whacked a volley that smacked the post and almost give the Union a 1-0 lead. Philly had the complete control of this game early on, but they looked really sloppy going forward, and it was also kind of a very fast-paced game, and it was kind of the Union that tried to make this game very fast-paced, which I understand that they want to make this very fast-paced to make it get entertaining for their fans to watch. By the way, there was about 5,000 fans that was in attendance for this game, and as much as I know they want to try to do so, I feel like they were playing a little bit too fast, and some of the decision-making that they were making going forward was just way too rushed, and in some way they need to kind of slow down a little bit to kind of make those better final ball instead of what they kind of did for the majority part of the first half. But then in the 35th minute, we kind of saw that scuffle that I was kind of maybe expecting that would happen, and is something that kind of boiled over from the last game. And this was actually a rough challenge that I believe it was Lester, the one that made a rough challenge on Montero. And when I look at that foul, yeah, that definitely looked like it was a borderline red card. But obviously, because this is CONCACAF, that looked like it's going to be a yellow card, and you can see both teams were definitely getting in each other's faces. And unfortunately, that was actually only the last time that we actually see a bit of a scuffle between both of these teams. Now, 4 minutes later, Shabilko missed an absolute sitter from 4 yards out, although he did kind of make amends of that in the second half. And speaking of the second half, as we had time 0-0, this is when, as I mentioned, the Union really put this game away. And it all started when Montero was able to score on a penalty after Anthony Fontana made a great run and was actually brought down in the box by two Saprissa defender, which again Montero was able to bury the penalty to give it 1-0 in favor of the Union. Then 4 minutes later, like I said, Shabilko make amends of his horror miss that he had in the 39th minute when he scored from Montero to make it 2-0 in favor of the Union. Then it was Fontana turn to get himself on the score sheet just 4 minutes later, and he would score once again from Jamir Montero. I mean, Jamir Montero clearly was the man of the match in this game, because not only he was able to get 2 goals and contribute in the goal scoring department, but he was just pulling the string in that number 10 position. And if he can continue to do that throughout this season for the Union, yeah, he can definitely consider to be a guy that maybe could be considered one of the best number 10 in this league. So yeah, up to that point, it was 3-0 in favor of the Union, as the Union really just blew this one open in a span of 7 minutes. And then after that, they kind of started to sub off some of their starters, because they do have a game on Sunday against Columbus, and Jim Curtin realized that, you know, that obviously is a big game, and that you also want to maybe give some of these youngster that is coming out of the academy or guys that they signed this offseason a chance, and that's exactly what they kind of did right around the hour mark. Then in the 75th minute, Jimmy Marine had probably the best opportunity for Saprissa, as he kind of had a free header but just got it completely wrong. Like, not only the fact that he did not put that one on target, but that one actually didn't even went out for a goal kick, and I think he was kind of surprised that he was that open in the box, or maybe he was kind of surprised that he was actually on side, because he just completely got that free header wrong. Then Cruz was able to rob Montero on the header before he would be denied Sullivan. Then just 4 minutes later, as the Union, they looked like they were not content to just get 3 goals in this game, and they eventually would make it number 4, and it's Jamiro Montero that would score the 4th goal from Sergio Santos, who came in around the 65th minute of this game. And yeah, that of course was the final action of this game. And right after when this goal was scored, the referee didn't even allow Saprissa to kick the ball off and just ended the game there, as in the end, the Union absolutely dominated this game and put up a 4 spot against Saprissa, and also put up a 5 spot in terms of the overall aggregate scores. As the shots in this game, 14 shots compared to 5 that Saprissa had, 8 shots on goal compared to none that Saprissa had in this game. I mean, Andre Blake probably might as well not actually even show up for this game, of how Saprissa was just not only ineffective going forward, but that Philly defense was just a stone wall throughout this entire game. 4 shots off target compared to 5 that Saprissa has, 2 shots that was blocked compared to none that Saprissa had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Saprissa had in this game. And, you know, with the Union moving on into the quarterfinal, this means that we are actually going to get an All MLS affair in the CONCACAF Champions League, and I believe this is the first time we got an All MLS kind of affair in the CONCACAF Champions League ever since 2018, when TFC played against Colorado, and that of course was, I think it was the opening round or the round of 16 in the CONCACAF Champions League. So yeah, I'm obviously very excited for that to happen. I mean, anytime when there is an MLS team involving a CCL game, I obviously have what they call CCL fever, and hope that they of course do well. But anytime when you have two teams facing off each other in an All MLS affair in a CCL match, I get even more excited, because I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. And at least I know by the end of the night, at least one MLS team, and also because that we do have that All MLS affair in the quarterfinal, we know for sure that at least there's going to be one MLS team that is going to make it to the semifinal of this year's CONCACAF Champions League competition. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for tonight's review of these CCL games. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of both of these games. Tomorrow we got Columbus playing against Real Estelí, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be 5 out of 5 in terms of MLS team going to the quarterfinal again, because Columbus had a massive 4-0 advantage against Real Estelí, and I won't be surprised if Caleb Porter potentially is going to rest some of his guys for that game, because, you know, as I mentioned with the Union, the Crew of course are going to be playing against the Union on that Sunday game. So yeah, that game should be interesting alongside with tomorrow's game, and we'll see whether or not if the Crew can continue to do what they did down in Nicaragua last week, which was just absolutely destroying and outclassing Real Estelí tomorrow. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.